Hello, my name is Anya, and I'm here with Madeleine Dean. Madeleine Dean, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having
Great.
me.
So I heard you're running for Congress. Why are you running?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm running for Congress because I believe in public service and I want to make a difference. It's an exciting time. Montgomery County has a full congressional seat, so I'm excited to run and excited to represent Montgomery County for all of our constituents.
All right. What important issues do you think there are?
There are so many, but let me list just a few. And it's appropriate that we're standing here at your beautiful high school. I think the number one issue is how we educate our young people. How we educate our young people determines not just your future, but all of our futures. And so what I want to do is make sure that I serve and fight for equitable funding for all of our public schools. I also want to fight for free community college. I also want to fight for universal pre-K so we get kids an early start to claiming their education and claiming their futures. So education's number one. Number two, I want to protect our environment. We know that we're not doing as much as we can to protect our environment. So I'm currently a state representative. I fight for dollars for DEP, for the Department of Environmental Protection, so that we absolutely make sure that we protect our environment. I'll do that same thing in Washington. And I have a lot of other issues, but maybe two that I do want to mention to you, and we can get into other things if you want, are the epidemics of gun violence and opioid overdose and death. Something I've been fighting about on the issue of gun violence is to reduce the number of people who are wounded and killed every year in this country. We have to stop the slaughter, and that has to come from legislative leaders at the state level and, more importantly, at the federal level. And in terms of the issue of addiction and opioid death and overdose, 66,000 people died 2 years ago of overdose. Last year, 72,000 people. We must get people treatment for the disease of addiction.
All right. How do you think state rep helped you?
Oh, thanks. I think it did help prepare me. I've been 6 years a member of the Pennsylvania House, and so it has showed me how to be collegial, work across the aisle, how committees work, how you draft legislation, and how you ultimately do or don't get something done. So I think it has prepared me well.
Why is it important to have women in Congress?
Well, we're at an interesting time, and I think you know this. In Pennsylvania, we have only men in Congress. There are no women serving. It's a stunning statistic and a mistake on our part for representative government. So I'm excited to be running. I've never said vote for me because I'm a woman, but I hope the voters will recognize that my background and experience and being a mom and a grandmom will bring a certain set of sensibilities and problem-solving skills to the table. So I'm excited to be running.
What issues have you faced that you are a woman?
Well, just some discriminatory practices in terms of, no, you shouldn't do this. It's very strange that I was told not to speak on the floor of the House when I first went to Harrisburg. And they said freshmen don't speak, and some people said freshman women really shouldn't speak. So I fight back on those kinds of limiting and discriminatory practices wherever they come from, and I'm not daunted by them.
All right. And why did you decide to come today?
Oh, I was so happy for the opportunity. I used to teach. I taught for 10 years in Philadelphia at LaSalle University. I love being around students. I love being around young people smart like you. This was an invigorating conversation. And as much as it was for me to tell you a little bit about me, I loved the learning about all of you. You guys inspire me. So this is a conversation I was eager to have, and I hope you'll invite me back.
All right. And how do you think the conversations went?
They were particularly inspiring. I'm just impressed by the level of the conversation, impressed by the depth of the questions, the honesty, the raw honesty of the questions, because I see a room full of aspirational young people, but they also raised to me, and you were a part of the conversation, they raised to me the obstacles and what they challenge me as a public servant to figure out answers to those obstacles, to tearing them down. So to me, it was really a terrific conversation. I think I learned much more than you learned from me.
What are some things that you learned from the students?
I learned from the students their grand aspirations for really worthy things. From the young woman, I think maybe her name was Anna, who talked about the disparity and the problems that this school district and others face in terms of resources. And yet when asked what it is she wants to do, she wants to become a teacher and come back here and teach. So you know some really good things are going on here. I also learned the downsides. whether it is the inequity that students here and elsewhere face and recognize, and how do they keep that from getting in the way of their motivation to becoming the very best that they can be. I think there were very interesting contrasts in that. And the other is the inequity, I thought, of religion. It was very interesting, the young woman who spoke about the fact that Muslims, their holidays are not recognized, and that students need to be able to practice their faith and have their faith recognized and honored. And I thought that was a great moment, because that's civic engagement. She then petitioned, literally we had the school board president and a school board member and the superintendent and the principal and teachers. They now know that request. And I believe that civic engagement will make a difference.
Right. Well, it looks like you had an awesome time. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, I'm just proud of the students here and the faculty and administration here, and I hope to go back and learn more and also be a resource and a help here, so I want to come back.
All right. Well, I'm Anya here with Madeleine Dean. Now back to the Eagle's Eye.